Hey yo YouTube, Nero here with another Eternal Return video. Today's gonna be a little special because it's gonna be about my favorite character, which is Li Dailin. And recently, the past few days, right, I've been ranking a lot on her, and I often get the question, how does Li Dailin feel? Is Li Dailin good after the nerfs? Is she bad now? Is she playable still? And all that. And with that said, I was like, alright, like I have to play a lot of games on her before I can confirm any of these questions. So I did. And it turns out the past few days that I've played with the pre-made comp, right, since there's no Mitchell like yet, I actually gotten a lot of success with this one build that I've been running, right? So since I've gotten a lot of success and even got me to rank 1, I want to share this build to y'all so you have a Li Dailin build to go to that you know is verified and tested and will give you a lot more success. Let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start off with the save plan. So this is gonna be the save plan number. I'll put the number in the description, but you can also look at the screen. It's called Li Dailin Forever because I will forever play Li Dailin. Alright, so let's discuss the items, dude. So we have Blue Tree, we have Tuxedo, we have Virtuous Outlaw, Creed of the Night, and Bucephalus. So as you can see, all of these items are made for damage. So since they nerf Li Dailin's damage a little bit, right, I figured, yo, maybe it's time for us to go Glass Cannon in the early game and then transition into a much more tankier build into the late game. And the reasoning for me thinking that way is because they actually buff Li Dailin's W, which means like you can be able to afford like running a glass cannon build without like getting burned too much, without like dying instantly if you use your W pretty well. Of course, you can change this to EOD suit if you're too scared of running glass cannon, but to me, to any experienced Li Dailin players, right, or if you're like a newer player and you want to take that next step, I think this is a much better build to like start with. So it goes stream, hospital, fire station, and forest. So most of your items are actually finished on fire station. Yes, you can see over here you have like 4 items completed, yeah? And you just need a turtle shell. You just need 1 turtle shell to like finish your build. So if you're lucky, you can actually get this turtle shell from a dog in fire station since you're gonna be getting leather, right? I'll show you how I route it in a bit, but before that, let's go take a look at the other stuff in the save plan, which is the tactical skill. Alright, for Li Dailin's tactical skill, it's actually not too deep. There's a lot of choices, right, that you can do on Li Dailin on paper, but a lot of these things I've tested, and the best like tactical skill in my opinion is actually just blink or flash or whatever you want to call it, right? Another tactical skill that you can use is actually Soul Stealer, right? But I prefer blink. Why do I prefer blink? Because it gives you very instant like engage, right? When you see an opportunity to jump the backline, if you see an ADC just use their mobility skill, let's say a Rio, like fresh off of E, you can immediately blink to them, right? And then if they like blink again, like if they blink like to counter your blink, you can ult them immediately, right? So it puts you in this very favorable situation between you and the backline damage dealer in a duel, right? And that's what Li Dailin excels at, out-dueling people. So if they're isolated because you ran blink, right, or you get the jump on them because you ran blink, like you gain a very high chance of -1ing one guy right off the bat or in the middle of the team fight. Your job as Li Dailin is a bruiser, but you can also be an assassin because your ultimate gets stronger when people are lower HP. And that's just Li Dailin's specialty overall, just like dueling people. Yeah. Not only that, Li Dailin also like is gonna be the beneficiary, right? Especially since the tankiness of this character got nerfed, right? The HP stat. Like you can dodge like very important skill shots with this, like for example Zahir Tornado, right? I'm not gonna name every skill, of course, but that's just one of the examples that you can like do with Blink, right? Now Soul Stealer doesn't do that, but Soul Stealer does like help out your team because it's AoE and all that. But like in my experience, Blink I think creates more playmaking, more survivability, right? More catch, right? More catch as well. If you're playing for picks, this is also better, I think. So yeah, like just go Blink. But there's there's nothing wrong with going like something else though. But if you want my recommendation, just go Blink. All right, so let's move on to the augments. So as you can see here, I'm running Bitter Retribution. This is really good. So a lot of people don't know how this works. So the way Bitter Retribution works is you take a bunch of damage. Maybe you get poked by a backline mage or you get damaged by the front line. And then like that damage is actually like gonna be sent back in your next auto attack. Something like that. So the more damage you take, right, maximum 30 stacks. Like we're not gonna go too deep into the numbers about this. So basically look at this as you get hit, you get damage, and then the next auto attack you do is gonna slow them and also gonna deal a lot of damage. So this is really good, like especially with Blink. Yeah, that's why I recommend Blink. So because you can catch people off guard, you can surprise people. Suddenly, yeah, you're half HP, and then like the backline's also half HP. You blink on them, you trigger Bitter, suddenly they're slowed, they have to flash, then like they have to blink, and then you like follow up with your E, and then they're slowed again, and then you ultimate them, and then suddenly they can't run away from you. They can't escape you anymore. They have to either outman fight you, which is gonna be hard because Li Dailin's really good at dueling, or they have to like have a defensive skill ready for you, or like maybe a Mai to pull them out, something like that. So yeah, this is a really good like augment to have, main augment to have. So for the next batch of augments, right, the sub augments, always have Cavalcade. All right, I think a lot of players, like everybody knows this already. Cavalcade has to be the most important sub augment in the game right now. So for the secondary, you can go Steadfast, especially if you're against a lot of CC, like if you're against like stuns and all that, like, you know, like this will prevent you from getting one shot. If you're against like a very crit heavy lobby, I suggest going Dull Blades. Right? If you see a lot of like ADC characters that run crit, I suggest Dull Blades. And if you have a Leon on your team, right? If you have a Leon on your team, you can run Embolden. If there is a Leon on your team, don't forget to change to Embolden. This is super value. But yeah, this is kind of niche though, because it relies a lot on like you having a teammate that can provide you with a low cooldown shield. So yeah, by default though, you run like Cavalcade plus Steadfast and Dull Blades. For the red sub augments, you don't go green, you go red. You go for stopping power. Armor Pen is really good, increases your damage output, and also Anima Reaper. Anima Reaper, you can like stack this up, right? A lot of attack power, right? Since there's no accessory in the game anymore, right? You need like more sources of attack power, and this is a good source of attack power. It's free. Like you can get this just by killing bears. You do that a lot, and also you can get this by downing people. So you can get this to 100 stacks really easily. So yeah, those are the augments on Li Dailin. Okay, so let's talk about the late game transition items. So this is a very interesting topic. A lot of people have different ways of like transitioning with Li Dailin, but I think this is gonna be the items that you will go for most games that you play on Li Dailin. So of course, Cerberus, one of the best weapons in the game in my opinion. It gives you attack range, gives you healing reduction, right? The only downside to this is it's a 4 score. So yeah, it's quite expensive transition, but it is very worth it. You do lose the crit rate, but trust me, it's gonna be way better. You're gonna be able to space better. You're gonna be able to hit people from a longer distance. And yeah, heal cut is very, very important. Like having a heal cut weapon in the game means that you can min-max the rest of your inventory. Mithril armor is something that you go for a lot of reasons, right? It's everything that you need in a chess piece. Like, since you want to be a bit tankier, you need a chess piece that has HP scaling. Mithril armor actually has higher defense than Guardian suit. Guardian suit is gonna be way tankier, of course, but Mithril armor like makes you like tankier, gives you CDR, gives you movement speed, right? And it's cheaper. You only need a Mithril for it. So to counteract your Cerberus being so expensive, you have a cheaper like chest piece on Mithril armor. And of course, Shield of Kings, an upgraded version of Creed of the Night, increases your damage output, increases your stats by a lot, right? And it's very cheap as well. Like, I know a lot of times people don't know what to do with Meteorite. This is one of the most convenient ways to use Meteorite. Like, increases your damage output and your stats overall. So yeah, very efficient use of Meteorite in my opinion. And of course, Alexander, the upgraded version of Rehearsal, right? Like, I know you only have one crit item in this final like build, but trust me, even though you have a low crit like rate, it's gonna be worth it because like this crit rate is actually like, in my opinion, enough crit rate, right? You only need one crit rate item to make this worth it, in my opinion, because when you do crit, you crit for a lot because guess what? You have like plus 29% crit damage, so that's gonna be very explosive. Now, for the other items that you can go for, right? Like you can go Chinese opera mask for your headpiece, right? The reason why I really prefer this over Halo is because it actually like allows you to duel better. Now let me explain, right? Like Halo is the burstier option, but opera mask is something that increases your turn potential by a lot. So if you're like going in and out of a fight, and then like you go for that ultimate, that blink ultimate or that blink E, right? And they don't apply heal cut to you, right? Because you're going in and out of the fight. Okay, heal cut wears off, you go back, right? And then you suddenly do a burst of damage. You actually heal back a lot when you do that. The movement speed is also really nice. You have a lot of attack power. You also get defense, right? So yeah, much more mobile, much more flexible, like late game transition piece. Though I know this is like more expensive, but I think it's very, very worth it. Very, very worth like transitioning into the late game. This is probably gonna be your last item every single time. Halo is a really good like head transition as well. Like it's way burstier, I think, than Chinese opera mask, but it does like, it is like more of the all-in type of like transition piece compared to opera mask, right? Like opera mask, like I think it's better if you're like 1v2ing, right? In your situation, you're in the clutch, right, where two of your teammates died there, but they like, you guys brought down one guy. Like this is gonna be better for that. But like for just winning the fight hard at the start, Halo is gonna be better for that. Much cheaper too, but yeah, like whatever you go, like whatever you go between the two, feel free to like just go with what's available to you at the moment. The moment like day 4, day 5 starts and you have like points, or you maybe you got weak, like just choose like any of these. But I prefer Chinese opera mask. Guardian suit is something that I would say is really good, makes you really, really tanky. The only problem I have with this is, of course, it's expensive. You already run Cerberus, right, as your one of your 4-score items, so it's gonna be expensive. So Guardian suit, I think, is nice to have, and especially against comps with 2 ADCs on them, right, or 2 right clickers, or like 2 like basic attackers. This is gonna be way better, but the CDR is gonna be gone. Now, if you want to have the CDR and still have the basic attack like reduction, auto arms is really good for that. Like even though you have like Alexander, not like even if you have reduced crit rate, like being tankier is also really like good. This also gives you a lot of like attack power. So yeah, you can never go wrong with this item. Like Hermes, of course, is good. Like this is way better if you're in a situation where you don't have Creed, right? If you have auto arms instead and you have Hermes, you can like transition out of it. You just be a very tanky Li Dailin. You do less damage, yeah, but it's gonna be good against characters like Elena, Yunwu, Magnus, basically people that can hard CC you. And of course, if you need more heal cut and you don't have like Creed anymore and you don't need to deal too much with CC, Virtues is good for that. But this is more like kind of niche situations. For the most part, you're gonna go this set of items. So yeah. And lastly, the skill leveling. So basically, you just go max your passive, then like max your R, max your W, your E, and lastly your Q. So why only put 1 point in Q? Alright, let me explain. The Q, even if you level it, does not scale in cooldown. So even if you have level 1 Q or like max level Q, you still have the exact same cooldown. Whereas if you max your E, right, like you actually get more value out of it because you get more like cooldown, you get more slow, you get more damage out of it. So it's way better value than like Q max. And of course, like you max level your passive in your R because they're your best skills, like your best skills to level. Your double attack scale off of your passive, and of course your ultimate, you know, like your signature skill, like that's gonna be like your main source of execute damage. The reason why you max your W is, of course, if you read the patch notes, right, this character's W right now scales up to 70% damage reduction while you're channeling your W. So if you time it against like important skills, if you time it against like a burst of somebody, that's gonna be reduced up to 70%. So you want to get to that 70% as soon as possible. So yeah, that's gonna be like it for the skill priority. And I will show you now how I route this build. I suggest practicing it in the practice tool, in the practice mode, so you can get this build as fast as you humanly possible. So yeah, here we go. Alright, so I'm gonna show you right now how I rehearse this build that I just showed you. So if you don't know how to rehearse it, you can go to training mode and then the practice tool, where you can like go into a solo lobby like this, right, that I'm doing right now on the screen. So we can like practice your like routing, your like rehearsing of the save plan and all that. So if you're gonna flash at the beginning of the game, I suggest to do it as early as possible because flash like got nerfed by a lot at level 1. So if you want your flash to be ready on your next fight, either don't use your flash at all or use it very early. And one of the tips that I will give you as well when using this route is try to look at the map at the early game so you know which clusters are looted already. So I mentioned that in my beginner step video, but in case you don't know about it, like there's a good reason why everybody's shown at the map at the beginning, and that is so you know which clusters, which group of boxes are already looted, so you don't waste time looking at boxes that are empty or have already taken items. And yeah, another thing that you need to know about this route is if you farm the dogs in this area, right, if you spawn upwards, you can actually get your turtle shell for free. You don't need to buy it, you don't need to go to forest, you can just go to your like you can just like go to your team immediately, or if you have a farming route that you prefer, then yeah, you can just go straight away. You can get like animals like really early for your leather if you get it too early, or you can get it from the wolves, though I suggest try to get it from the weaker animals like what I'm doing here, so you can like duel people immediately. I actually suggest dueling people in fire station or in forest because the matchups that you get here are actually really nice, right? One of the main reasons why I like going forest as my final zone, right, is because a lot of characters that I like teaming up with actually end up here at Forest, and there's nobody that can beat you in a duel in the early game. So yeah, this is how you do it in the early game. Like, and also remember you can press B, so you can like immediately go to your late game transition item, like tab. And yeah, hope you learned something, and if you have any questions, comment down below. I hope you guys win your Li Dailin games, and that's gonna be it for me.